discover the use of Middle Florida when you were doing your research?
Actually, I knew about it long before the research. If you go back to territorial Florida, and a lot of history does, they're automatically talking about Middle Florida. It's just been there for a long time.
Does it go as far south as Micanopy, would you say, or is it still further north? Like
It's probably about Gainesville. Gainesville is where they were. It really had to do with where our government was offering land for sale. And our government kept offering land for sale because they didn't have the money to do anything. We were a poor, poor state. And so every time they needed money, every time there was a war that they had to, get people to fight, they had to figure out a way to pay them, and they'd sell more land. And so actually the middle part of the state, what we call Central Florida now, which incidentally, my mother called everything South Florida below about Wildwood. I mean, and she grew up in Winter Haven, so she considered Winter Haven South Florida. They didn't even talk about Central Florida, and I think that's because it wasn't like it is today. Central Florida is a main part of Florida now, people-wise.
Yeah. Right. I just found that was, to me, one of the takeaways I got from this book is that Middle Florida, and really looking in that perspective during that time of territory. I just thought that was...
what happened is there was a point in time after the Second Seminole Indian War where they needed money, and so they opened up more of the territory of Florida for sale in the central area, and they called it the Armed Occupation Act. Now, the reason they did that is because they pushed the indigenous people so far south, and they were trying to hold them off, and so they basically told you could get acreage and a gun.
That's right.
Because the protection, it was a line of protection is what it was.
Acreage
so
and a
Florida's
gun.
got some weird stuff in it.